Her lover, Li Zhuo, suffered from a severe heart condition. She actually orchestrated a car accident that killed our daughter, so her heart could be transplanted into him. When I confronted her with my distraught questions, she merely said lightly, "We all owed him." It wasn't until I took them to court that on the night of the sentencing, she knelt before our daughter's tombstone, holding Li Zhuo's heart, and personally dug out her own heart, to save her first love. My wife took our daughter's heart, I only found out, when I walked out of the hospital morgue. The heart I had personally removed actually belonged to my bloody and disfigured daughter. It was simply because my wife's idealized first love had a severe heart condition. So she orchestrated a car accident for our daughter, and made me transplant my daughter's heart into her idealized first love. Faced with my anger and despair, she said lightly, "This is what we all owed him." But later, after I took them to court, on the night of the sentencing, she knelt before our daughter's tombstone, holding the heart that had been transplanted into her idealized first love, and personally dug out her own heart. Married for a full 8 years, Victoria Hayes' indifference toward my daughter and me had reached an extreme. She always claimed to be too busy with work, staying at the office with her idealized first love, Li Zhuo, working overtime, even on weekends. She often made excuses about business trips, disappearing for 2 days straight. She was always completely indifferent to this home. The moment our daughter was born, she left her with me. To ensure Lily Miller felt a mother's love, I had no choice but to learn to act as a mother. I changed her medicine, made her breakfast, and drove her to school. Day after day, year after year, Lily Miller, under my care, was now 8 years old. Then one day, just before I was about to go out of town for an exchange program, Victoria Hayes unexpectedly offered to look after Lily Miller. She intimately wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. "Ethan, let me take care of Lily Miller while you're away on this trip." I was changing my shoes in the entryway, and paused instantly upon hearing her words. I was a bit worried. After all, Victoria Hayes' thoughts were never truly with this family. "Honey, I know I've been too distant with you before. Recently, I've read many parenting books, and I truly want to make up for my shortcomings over the years. I want to take good care of Lily Miller, and give her a complete home. Can you give me this chance?" "Victoria, you've never cared about Lily Miller all these years. She's not very close to you anymore," I gently advised her. Victoria Hayes walked to my side, and gently wrapped her arms around my waist. "Honey, I know I've neglected you too much before. Recently, I've read many educational books, and I feel very guilty. I sincerely want to be a capable mother. This time, while you're on your business trip, let me take care of Lily Miller. I promise I'll take good care of her." A warmth surged in my heart, and I hesitated whether to agree. Just then, Lily Miller ran out of her room. "That's great. Dad and Mom are finally going to spend time with me together. I've been looking forward to getting closer to Mom for a long time." The little girl looked at me with longing, afraid I wouldn't agree. Facing Lily Miller's plea, my last trace of hesitation vanished. How could I bear to refuse my daughter's long-desired mother's love? "All right, while Dad's away on this business trip, you get along well with Mom. Call Dad if anything happens." I don't know why, but during my business trip, I always had an inexplicable dread. The last time I felt this way was when my daughter Lily Miller had a high fever at 2 years old. Thinking of this, I immediately called home. "Where's Lily Miller?" "Honey, did you forget because you're busy? It's only 1 p.m. Lily Miller is napping," Victoria Hayes teased. "Is she sleeping with the stuffed animal I gave her? Send me a picture. I want to see her. Contact me anytime if anything happens," I instructed. After hanging up the phone, Victoria Hayes sent a photo of Lily Miller sleeping soundly with a teddy bear. This teddy bear was the stuffed animal I gave her. In the photo, my daughter was sleeping sweetly, her little face rosy, with a faint smile on her lips. I felt at ease and was about to return to the conference venue, but then I heard the ambulance siren approaching from a distance. A young doctor walked quickly towards me, asking anxiously, "Are you Ethan Miller? A patient urgently needs a heart transplant. Could you please help?" I immediately followed him to the hospital's operating room. Along the way, I walked and asked about the patient's condition. "It's a 28-year-old male patient with congenital heart disease. He had been waiting for a heart transplant for a long time. Today, he finally got a suitable donor heart, but our hospital lacks experience with this type of surgery." The patient's family heard that Dr. Miller was in the city and insisted on having you as the lead surgeon. "What's the situation with the organ donor?" I asked. It's a little girl, who tragically passed away. The doctor sighed. Such a young life, gone too soon. It was truly heartbreaking. But her parents generously donated her heart, hoping to save another living life. Hearing it was a little girl, my heart involuntarily tightened. But since her parents were there, and I was currently out of town, with Lily Miller still napping at home, I felt relieved again. I shook my head and pulled myself together. Now, I must give it my all, save the patient, and not let down the selfless dedication of the donor's parents. The 10-hour surgery was complex and lengthy. The little girl whose heart was removed had her limbs twisted from being hit by a car. Her face was bloody and disfigured from the car accident, making her barely recognizable. To avoid distraction, only the patient's heart area was exposed during surgery. I was fully concentrated, as if in another dimension. Beads of sweat formed on my forehead, but my hands remained as steady as ever. Finally, as I sewed the last stitch, the patient's heart began to beat strongly again in its new chest cavity. Drive, Miller, it was brilliant. This surgery will become a classic case in our hospital, and you are a role model for our young doctors, the director said excitedly. You truly are the top cardiac surgeon. Your impeccable ethics and superb skills are. Stepping out of the operating room, the smell of disinfectant that hit me made me feel dizzy. I took off my mask and nodded to everyone in the department. Pushing open the operating room door, the highly tense surgery had left me physically and mentally exhausted. I rubbed my throbbing temples, and the feeling of unease in my heart grew stronger. Not long after leaving the operating room, my phone kept ringing. Upon closer look, it was Lily Miller's nanny, Mrs. Thompson, calling. There were dozens of missed calls. I quickly called back. Mrs. Thompson answered and spoke incoherently. Drive, Miller. Something happened. Lily Miller was in a car accident, and shares at the hospital right now. Hayes didn't want me to tell you, but Lily Miller kept calling for Dad. Car accident. Which hospital? My mind reeled, and my voice trembled uncontrollably. At the hospital where you work. Lily Miller knew you were here on a business trip, and was determined to come find you. Who knew that halfway there? Mrs. Thompson choked, unable to continue. My legs gave out, almost collapsing. How could it be such a coincidence? Wasn't the organ donor for the surgery I just performed a young girl who died in a car accident? I trembling hung up the phone and frantically called Victoria Hayes and our daughter's phones, but no one answered. Growing increasingly anxious, I stopped a nearby nurse. Where is the girl who was brought in today from the car accident? In the morgue. The nurse looked troubled, as if she knew something. My condolences. Drive, Miller. I staggered towards the morgue, still held onto a sliver of hope. It couldn't be Lily Miller, it just couldn't. But when I trembling lifted the white sheet from the small remains in the morgue, I was utterly stunned. My daughter's body was twisted and deformed, her entire body covered in lacerations, her neck twisted at an unnatural angle. The bright red blood had long clotted, staining her entire body a dark, dull color. On her chest, a large indentation was clearly visible. It was the empty space left after her heart was removed. Just a few hours ago, it was still vigorously beating in Lily Miller's chest. I stared blankly at my daughter's pale face. Just this morning, I had happily peeled a candy for Lily Miller, and watched her chuckling and popped it into her mouth. But now, my precious daughter lay silently in the cold morgue, and would never run into my arms again. Lily Miller. Dad is taking you home. I choked back tears, and picked up my daughter's remains. Tears blurred my vision. An orderly stopped me. Drive, Miller. My condolences. The remains can only be taken after the autopsy. We have to follow protocol. I yelled incoherently, eyes red. What protocol? My daughter is dead. What do you know? Why won't you let me take her home? Holding Lily Miller, I staggered out of the morgue, my vision blurring intermittently. People around me kept trying to stop me, but I couldn't hear anything. My world was reduced to my cold daughter in my arms, and a heart-wrenching pain. Why? Why did this happen? A few hours ago, I had personally transplanted Lily Miller's heart into another person's body. How could fate be so cruel, to make me personally cut open my own daughter's body? It's all my fault. I am sorry, Lily Miller. Dad couldn't save you. I held my daughter tightly, sobbing uncontrollably, tears falling on her bloodless little face. A few security guards and doctors surrounded me, trying to stop me. Let go of my daughter. I screamed hysterically, struggling to rush out of the morgue. My daughter is dead. What do you know? I just want to take her home. Is that not allowed? Drive, Miller. Calm down. What are you doing? Calm. I can't calm down. I personally removed my daughter's heart, but I didn't recognize her. How could I not recognize my own flesh and blood? It's all my fault. It was I who personally killed Lily Miller. Lily Miller was sent to the heart transplant operating room, wasn't she? You all knew. I roared. Tears blurred my vision. People around me kept trying to stop me, but I couldn't hear anything. My world was reduced to the cold remains in my arms, and endless guilt and regret. Drive, Miller. The papers were signed by Ms. Hayes. Why are you acting crazy here? Someone shouted angrily. I looked up. It was my teacher, Professor Edwards. He looked at me with a complex expression and said softly, Ethan, my condolences. We are all very sorry about Lily Miller, but you can't be like this. Victoria Hayes. It was her. I slumped to the ground, holding Lily Miller tightly, choking out, Professor Edwards. How could Victoria Hayes do this to my daughter? She's her own mother. Professor Edwards sighed and patted my shoulder. After a long time, he said, Ethan, put Lily Miller down first. Some things need to be clarified in person. Let's go. I'll go with you to see her. Under my teacher's persuasion, I vaguely put down my daughter, letting him lead me out of the morgue. My legs felt like they were filled with lead, and every part of my body was trembling. I tremblingly followed Professor Edwards to the inpatient ward. He pushed open the ward door, and pointed at the man in the ward, saying, This is the patient who received the heart transplant, and next to him, that must be your wife, Victoria Hayes. It was she who signed the donation agreement. Inside the room, my wife was diligently tending to the patient, and that patient was actually my wife's idealized first love, Liam O'Connell. On the bed, Liam O'Connell, after the heart transplant surgery, had not yet woken up, thinking that the heart beating in his chest was my daughter's heart. I trembled all over with rage. Seeing this, Victoria Hayes asked with a puzzled expression, Ethan Miller, what are you doing here? Doing what? I scoffed. I came to see your, and Liam O'Connell's masterpiece. You killed Lily Miller just to give him a heart transplant, right? Victoria Hayes' face changed, and her expression turned sinister. She scoffed sharply. That's right, I planned all of this. I gave your daughter's heart to Liam O'Connell. I was furious. I stepped forward and grabbed her collar. Are you even human? Personally killing your own flesh and blood just for this man. So what? Victoria Hayes pushed me away, straightened her clothes, and sneered. I never wanted that burden. You were the one who insisted on having a child. You ruined me. You ruined Liam O'Connell's and my happiness. Are you satisfied now? Saying this, she pulled a stack of documents from her bag and slammed them hard onto my face. These are the divorce papers. Sign them and get out. We're breaking up for good. I picked up the documents, only to see Victoria Hayes' signature clearly visible on it. An unprecedented hatred surged within me. I tore the paper into shreds and violently flung them at her face. Divorce. Dream on. Not unless I die. I said through gritted teeth. Whoever made me fall to this state will have to go to hell with me. Just then, Liam O'Connell weakly opened his eyes. Seeing me there, he actually feigned begging. Drive, Miller. What happened back then is in the past. Please let me go. Liam O'Connell, stop pretending to be pitiful. Victoria Hayes immediately shielded him behind her, with a sarcastic tone. Ethan Miller, who do you think you are to dare order us around? I could no longer control my rage. I pulled out the scalpel I carried with me from my pocket and stabbed fiercely at Liam O'Connell. The sharp blade cut through the air, plunging straight into his abdomen. Liam O'Connell shrieked. Blood gushed out, instantly staining his pristine white hospital gown red. You damned scoundrel, give me back my daughter's heart. With bloodshot eyes, I frantically stabbed him. Liam O'Connell groaned in pain, but dared not fight back, fearing he would provoke me to hurt him more. Ethan Miller, stop. Victoria Hayes screamed and lunged forward, trying to snatch my knife. I shoved her to the ground and laughed maniacally. The knife is plunged into Liam O'Connell's face. Does it hurt a lot? This is what I want. After saying that, I raised the scalpel high and slashed fiercely at Liam O'Connell's face. Hot blood splashed onto my face, but I was completely oblivious. I screamed hysterically, looking at Li Zhuo, pale as paper in a pool of blood. I only felt a surge of satisfaction. Victoria Hayes, you two depraved individuals are going to hell. I scoffed, watching her face turn ashen. Police officers rushed in from outside the ward, pinned me firmly to the ground, and handcuffed me. Ethan Miller, why did you assault someone? In the police station's interrogation room, the officer looked through my file, asking coldly. My hands were cuffed, and I sat on the cold chair. They killed my daughter. I wished I could kill that cheating pair. The officer pushed the voice recorder in front of me and pressed play. Li Zhuo's agonizing screams echoed in the small room. My fingernails dug deep into my palms, almost drawing blood. Ethan Miller, do you plead guilty? Guilty. What guilt do I have? The real murderers are clearly Li Zhuo and Victoria Hayes. They orchestrated the car accident and personally killed my daughter. You don't investigate the truth, but instead interrogate me, the victim. I was furious. Car accident. What car accident? The officer frowned. It was then I realized the police knew nothing, so I told the officer the entire story, from beginning to end. After investigation, the police found the brake system of the vehicle involved was faulty, causing the vehicle to lose control and crash into the sidewalk. The driver died on the spot, unable to leave any statement. All signs indicated this accident was definitely not a simple one. However, all of this required time for evidence collection, but my guilt had already been confirmed, and I could only resign myself to fate. Defendant Ethan Miller, your actions constitute aggravated assault, a serious offense. However, considering the tragic circumstances of your daughter's death, and your unreserved confession to the crime, the court has decided to impose a lighter sentence, sentencing you to 3 years of imprisonment. The gavel struck down, sealing my sentence. During my imprisonment, Victoria Hayes visited me once. That day, she sneered through the glass, saying, Ethan Miller, this is all your fault. If you hadn't wasted my youth, Li Zhuo and I would have long since run away together. Now look, my only love has been crippled by you. I scoffed. Victoria Hayes, what right do you have to speak of love? You murdered your own daughter for Li Zhuo. Did you ever think that she trusted and loved you then? Victoria Hayes' face turned pale, then scoffed sharply, that burden, Lily Miller, it's good she's dead. You were the one who insisted on keeping her, making it so I couldn't be with Li Zhuo. This is all your fault. I was furious. I slammed my fist on the glass. Back then, you had a terminal illness and almost died. Now it seems you really should have just died then. Ha, you still have the nerve to mention it. Victoria Hayes laughed sarcastically. If Li Zhuo hadn't donated his kidney to me, back then, how could I have lived to this day? Ethan Miller, we all owed him. Ha ha ha, is that so? Then you live well with his kidney. Because of good behavior, I was released from prison a year early. 2 years of imprisonment made me see the ugliness of human nature, and understand what evil truly is. Li Zhuo visited me a few times, bringing their wedding photo, parading proudly in front of me. Ethan Miller, you lost. Victoria Hayes is mine now. We're even going to have a child to replace Lily Miller. I scoffed. As far as I know, Victoria Hayes developed complications after giving birth to Lily Miller. Her uterus had been removed, and she could never get pregnant again in this life. Li Zhuo was just trying to provoke me. I couldn't be bothered to argue with such a person. I closed my eyes to rest, as if he didn't exist. After my release from prison, I didn't notify anyone. In these 2 years, friends and family all thought I was still studying abroad. Only Professor Edwards knew the truth. I went to Lily Miller's cemetery to visit her. The spring day was beautiful, with flowers in bloom, but my mood was extremely heavy. Lily Miller, Dad is here to see you. Please bless Dad from heaven. I gently stroked her tombstone. Tears blurred my vision. Wait for Dad. Dad will be with you soon. After my release from prison, the first thing I did was to go to the bank to check my account balance. To my surprise, my personal account had been almost emptied by Victoria Hayes, and all the property under my name had been transferred by her. It seemed 2 years was enough time for that depraved couple to completely clean out my finances. In desperation, I sought help from my university junior, Ryan Davis. He was now an elite police officer in the public security system, with extensive experience in handling cases. I told him about Victoria Hayes' affairs, hoping he could help me gather criminal evidence. Ethan, are you saying Victoria Hayes not only embezzled money, but also murdered her own daughter. Ryan Davis was shocked. I nodded. All the clues I currently have point to this. I checked. My marriage to Victoria Hayes has not been dissolved, but she has married Liam O'Connell. This constitutes bigamy, in addition to her years of extramarital affairs, and the suspicion of murdering Lily Miller. The charges might not be light. Ryan Davis fell into deep thought. Ethan, all of this requires irrefutable evidence. Do you have any on hand? I said with a bitter smile. If I did, would I need to come beg you? Ryan Davis patted my shoulder and said firmly, Ethan, rest assured, I will do everything in my power to get you justice. Hearing my junior's assurance, my heart finally felt a little comfort. Leaving the police station, I inexplicably found myself at my old residence. The once loving home was now desolate and unfamiliar. The lock on the door had been changed. My key could no longer open the door. Young man, who are you looking for? The neighbor aunt poked her head out and asked, Auntie, is this apt 1703? I forced down the bitterness in my heart. Yes. Do you need something? This house changed owners last year. Now a newlywed couple lives here. The aunt sized me up. I forced a smile. Nothing. I got the address wrong. Sorry to bother you. After saying that, I left without looking back. For years, I had diligently performed my duties, healing the sick and saving lives, accumulating countless patients' gratitude. Yet in the end, I, the kind one, was defeated by cruel and ruthless enemies. It was utterly ridiculous. Actually, Victoria Hayes and I weren't always like this. As neighborhood kids, we were childhood sweethearts, innocent childhood friends. Later, I gradually realized that in Victoria Hayes' heart, I could never compare to the unexpected arrival, Liam O'Connell, in high school. Liam O'Connell appeared as a bully and easily won her sympathy. From then on, she was no longer seen on the way home from school. My after-school tutoring changed from one-on-one to a trio. Ethan Miller, Liam O'Connell is the weak one. We need to be more understanding and helpful. Victoria Hayes always told me this. If you find it troublesome, just go home by yourself. I frankly said that the people bullying Liam O'Connell simply disliked his unconventional ways. He never followed school rules, was always late for school, and never participated in group activities. But Victoria Hayes wouldn't listen. Instead, she pointed her finger at me and lectured, How could you be like this? Is weakness a sin? I was speechless. But I knew deep down that Liam O'Connell being bullied wasn't innocent, but brought it upon himself. The summer of the college entrance exams, Victoria Hayes went to meet Liam O'Connell, but was in a car accident on the way. When I rushed to the hospital after hearing the news, he was squatting outside the operating room, ashen-faced, like a statue. I was furious. I rushed up and punched him hard twice in the face. If others hadn't broken up the fight, I probably would have beat him to death on the spot. The patient's kidney was severely damaged, requiring a transplant surgery, but the hospital had no suitable organ donor. Who among you is willing to be tested for a match? The sweating lead surgeon walked out of the operating room and asked anxiously. I agreed without a second thought. But what I didn't expect was that Liam O'Connell had actually secretly slipped away. Is the patient your girlfriend? Don't worry, with a boyfriend like you, she'll definitely save her life. The anesthesiologist patted my shoulder comfortingly. No, but she will be. I smiled and closed my eyes. When I woke up, I heard that Liam O'Connell was also hospitalized. When I arrived at Liam O'Connell's hospital room, I found Victoria Hayes intimately nestled in Liam O'Connell's arms. They were holding hands, beaming with happiness. Liam O'Connell, thank you for saving me. Who knew? Their relationship was never stable. They were constantly bickering, repeatedly, a never-ending cycle. Victoria Hayes drowned her sorrows in alcohol every day. She buzzed around me like a headless fly. One late night, we were dead drunk, in a haze. Something seemed to happen. The next day when I woke up, the bed was a mess, but she was nowhere to be seen. I only found out after inquiring that she had booked a flight to England the night before. I put down the phone with a bitter smile. It turned out I was the truly drunk one, as I had mistook a one-night stand for a confidant. 2 years later, Victoria Hayes returned having completed her studies. She had grown into a graceful and elegant woman. She exuded the charm of a mature woman. Our relationship also rapidly progressed at this time. The day I proposed to her, tears welled up in her eyes. Although I was already past the suitable age for marriage, for her, I was willing to give up everything. The night before the wedding, Liam O'Connell appeared. His parents were both dead, and he was utterly alone. He told Victoria Hayes that without her, He would be alone in the world. My bride was thus tricked away by him. After marriage, she constantly agitated for a divorce, but the Hayes family adamantly refused. Thus, between us, only a marriage certificate remained, and she brazenly had affairs outside. Our home existed in name only. The day she became pregnant, Victoria Hayes was about to move in with Li Zhuo. Upon learning she was pregnant, she became hysterical. I gently advised her, but she climbed onto the balcony to commit suicide. That scene, I will never forget. She collapsed in a pool of blood, her eyes tightly shut. I was terrified. I rushed up to hug her without hesitation. Tears streamed down my face. Fortunately, the child was saved. But from then on, Victoria Hayes became a different person. She hurled insults at me, and was utterly disgusted by the flesh and blood in her womb. I was willing to endure silently, only asking her to carry the baby safely, and give birth to our child. But she brought Li Zhuo home, being openly affectionate right under my nose. I lost my temper and became violent, but she sneered and pulled out a knife, pointing it directly at her pregnant belly. "Ethan Miller, you'd better behave, otherwise I'll make the baby in her womb a bloody mess." The day she gave birth, she had a difficult labor with severe bleeding. The doctor told me that her uterus had to be removed to save her life. I signed the surgery consent form with tears in my eyes, but after she woke up, she slapped me, calling me sinister and vicious, accusing me of intentionally making her permanently disabled. She threatened me that if I dared to reveal a single word, she would personally strangle our daughter. I endured humiliation solely for that fragile young life. I endured it for 8 years. Just when I mistakenly thought she had had a change of heart, she, for Li Zhuo, orchestrated a car accident and personally ended our daughter's life. It was all my fault. I shouldn't have harbored illusions about her. I would personally put an end to that scoundrel. Ryan Davis found their new address. We staked out for half a month, learned their routines, but unexpectedly discovered that Li Zhuo would, on Wednesday and Friday nights, bring a strange woman to their apartment to spend the night. Ryan Davis suggested I disguise myself as maintenance staff to capture undeniable proof of infidelity. Hard work pays off. I quickly captured the most shocking footage. Li Zhuo and Chloe were passionately intimate in their apartment. Brazenly, I developed the photos, along with the surveillance video, and sent them all to Victoria Hayes. The footage was so explicit, so revealing, it would make anyone blush and their heart race. Victoria Hayes, having received the surprise, immediately began her own surveillance plan. On a dark and windy Wednesday night, she lurked outside their apartment, biding her time. When Li Zhuo and the mistress appeared again, she acted decisively, stepped forward and kicked open the door. Catching the cheating pair in the act, I hid in the stairwell and witnessed all of this. It turned out Li Zhuo was embracing a newly hired female university student from the office, young, beautiful, and full of vigor. No wonder he fell for someone else. At this moment, Victoria Hayes trembling took out the engagement ring from her bag, sobbing uncontrollably. "Li Zhuo, how could you do this to me? You personally put the ring on my finger back then, and said you'd spend your life with me. Was it all a lie?" The young girl, however, looked disdainful. She got out of bed wrapped in a sheet, wrapped her arms around Li Zhuo's waist, and sneered at Victoria Hayes with a victorious air. "Ms. Hayes, stop making a scene here. Why don't you look in a mirror? You're old and ugly. If it weren't for your rich ex-husband, and the large sum of money you'd get after the divorce, who would want you?" After saying that, she pulled Li Zhuo closer, and passionately kissed him in front of Victoria Hayes. "Mr. O'Connell and I are a perfect match. You were merely a stepping stone in his marriage." What followed was Victoria Hayes and the cheating woman pulling each other's hair and fighting. After returning from their apartment, Ryan Davis and I immediately went to visit the taxi driver's home. As far as I knew, the driver responsible died instantly in the car accident, but the entire case was full of doubts, and the truth was unclear. I knocked on the driver's door, and an old woman with a weathered face walked out shakily. Hearing we were the police, she tearfully recounted, "I really can't understand how he caused such a tragedy. He had driven all his life and never had an accident, only gambled away all his savings, drowning his sorrows in alcohol every day. Who would have thought that the day after he promised me he would turn over a new leaf? He would." The old woman leaned on the doorframe, sobbing uncontrollably, constantly hitting her own knees. That pauper never bought insurance when he was alive, yet after the incident, over $1 million appeared in his account out of nowhere. Ryan Davis and I exchanged glances, then comforted the old woman for a few moments, and quietly left. After returning, Ryan Davis immediately began investigating this suspicious transfer. He investigated all night, and the results were shocking. The sender of that money was none other than Victoria Hayes. My scalp tingled instantly, and a wave of dread washed over me. I couldn't believe it, that for that man, Victoria Hayes actually paid someone to kill, personally sacrificed her own flesh and blood. I don't understand. Why would there be such a depraved mother in this world? Is a daughter's life truly less valuable than a man's pleasure? Half a month after the case was solved, I officially took Victoria Hayes and Liam O'Connell to court. Faced with irrefutable evidence of their crimes, they blamed each other and screamed hysterically in the courtroom. In the spectator seats, friends and family were whispering, all expressing their profound regret. After the ruling was announced in court, the two criminals were escorted out of the courtroom. As they passed by me, I called out to Victoria Hayes, "Victoria Hayes, if only I had given you my kidney back then." My hand lightly stroked her lower back. There was the scar I had personally stitched for her. This kidney should have witnessed our love, but now it has become our death warrant. If time could be turned back, I definitely wouldn't have decided to save you. Victoria Hayes widened her eyes, staring at me in disbelief. Her lips trembling, she spoke with difficulty. "Ethan Miller, what did you say? This is impossible. Liam O'Connell was the one who saved me back then." "Victoria Hayes, I told you countless times, Liam O'Connell is just a liar. But did you ever believe me even once?" Victoria Hayes stared blankly and turned to Liam O'Connell, seemingly waiting for his explanation. Liam O'Connell, however, curled his lips in disdain. "I would donate a kidney for you. Give me a break, I am not that noble. Besides, who would want a woman like you?" "Liam O'Connell, what did you say? This is impossible. You clearly said back then that to save me, you were willing to give up everything." Liam O'Connell scoffed. "I was just putting on an act to fool a simpleton like you. I would risk my life for you. Do you even deserve it? I am telling you, it was never you I was interested in, but your Hayes family's fortune. You were just my ATM. Without you, countless women would still be lining up for me. Now that you're useless, just get out of here." Faced with Liam O'Connell's cruel humiliation, Victoria Hayes' face turned ashen, and her body trembled. Her legs could no longer support her. She dropped to her knees with a thud. Victoria Hayes desperately looked up at me, cried profusely, begging incoherently, "Ethan, I was wrong. I was too stupid, too foolish, too naive, which is why Liam O'Connell deceived me. I beg you, just pity me, forgive me this one time." Victoria Hayes repeatedly pleaded for forgiveness on her knees. But what's the use of an apology? Our daughter isn't coming back. After saying that, I couldn't be bothered to look at her again, and walked away without a backward glance. I stood before Lily Miller's tombstone, silently gazing at the black and white photo. My daughter's smiling face was particularly clear in the morning light, as if it were just yesterday. A sound of rapid footsteps came from behind me. I turned around and saw a woman, covered in blood, staggering towards me. Upon closer look, it was Victoria Hayes. "Victoria Hayes, are you insane?" I stared incredulously at the blood-soaked knife in her hand, and instinctively took a step back. "Ethan Miller, I killed Liam O'Connell." Victoria Hayes collapsed to her knees, her voice hoarse beyond recognition. I dug out his heart. "But it's too late. No one can save Lily Miller now." As she spoke, she pulled a blood-soaked heart from her embrace, and trembling, placed it before my daughter's tombstone. "Lily Miller, Mom is here to see you. Mom brought the bad man's heart to give back to you. Can you forgive Mom?" "Enough. Victoria Hayes, snap out of it." I stepped forward, grabbed her by the collar, my voice harsher than ever before. "The dead cannot be brought back to life. Do you think offering a heart at our daughter's grave will atone for your sins?" Victoria Hayes suddenly looked up, her eyes bloodshot, and laughed maniacally. "Yes, this isn't enough. I will use my heart to replace my daughter's heart." Before she finished speaking, she raised the knife and plunged it violently into her own chest. Thud. The knife sliced open her chest along her heart, and Victoria Hayes collapsed instantly. She struggled to widen her eyes, trying to say something, but could no longer utter a sound. In her last moments, she tremblingly raised her other hand, pointing towards my daughter's tombstone. A siren approached from a distance. I looked towards the horizon. Dawn was breaking. "My daughter, Dad finally avenged you, but this belated justice cannot bring back your life." From now on, Dad will live well. No more resentment, no more sorrow. Lily Miller, until we meet again in the next life, Dad will always love you.